Some deserts don't stay deserts. Wait, that is the Nile, and it is rushing through the middle of the dead Sahara Desert.
They are carving a new river by hand before the desert swallows them alive. That concrete fortress has no roads. It exists purely to pump a lake into a wasteland.
When a granite mountain got in their way, they simply blew it off the map.
It is 3 a.m. They only pour concrete in the dark. The heat demands it.
Last year, this was dead sand. Today, green wheat in the Sahara. How?
This is Egypt's second Nile, and it is the most impossible mega project on the planet.
104 million Egyptians live in a green strip, 4% of their country's size. It is getting smaller.
Cairo is so packed that 1,000 square meters of farmland disappear under concrete every single hour.
This is the most fertile soil on Earth. Right behind me, it disappears under concrete.
Lake Nasser holds 168 billion cubic meters of water. Most flows to the sea, unused.
104 million Egyptians live in a green strip, 4% of their country's size. It is getting smaller.
"310 kilometers of desert. They start by marking it with wooden stakes, every meter measured by hand.
The stakes are in. The trucks are coming. 310 kilometers of Sahara is about to be cut.
They build the world's largest pumping station foundation in the middle of a lake, on water. Drive steel piles, pump out the lake. Dry ground now sits in the middle of Lake Nasser, 50 meters deep.
Drilling foundation caissons 15 meters into the sandstone, in 50-degree heat at the bottom of a lake.
A 50-meter concrete fortress rising from the lake bed. It holds back 168 billion cubic meters.
Look down that shaft. 30 meters deep, 1 of 24, 18 run every single day, no breaks.
35-ton pumps from Japan, 4 meters tall, arriving by barge to a station in a lake.
35 tons descending 1 meter per minute. Workers guide it by hand, every single pump.
288 megawatts from Aswan, 250 kilometers away. Enough power to run a city, just for pumping.
Deep underground, 24 colossal steel pumps lined up like dormant jet engines, just waiting for the spark.
Inside a building surrounded by a lake, 24 pumps under my feet. Nothing connects it to shore.
The cofferdam comes out. The lake floods back. The pumping station is an island now. March 2005. First pump on. Water climbs 50 meters through solid rock. It actually works.
When the first water hit the canal, I cried. I genuinely cried.
54 meters wide, endless in both directions. Right now, 2,000 machines are cutting this through the Sahara. That dump truck is the size of a house. From down here, it looks like a toy.
An army of machines running the largest excavation fleet ever assembled. It never stops.
The sand walls slump overnight. Every morning, the night shift's work has collapsed back in.
A granite mountain blocks the canal path. 9 kilometers of solid rock. No way around it.
Dispatch, we have hit a wall here.
45,000 kilograms of explosives loaded into the granite ridge. The biggest blast in Egyptian history. The blast hits. Rock 40 meters high. The shockwave reaches 20 kilometers away. The sun disappears.
Drill, blast, low, haul, repeat. 1 million cubic meters of granite, 9 months to clear.
.38 at 3 a.m. and 11 excavators still working under floodlights. This never stops. Not once.
A haboob hits with zero warning. 300 meters of brown wall at 80 kilometers per hour. Everything stops. 2 meters of new sand overnight. Survey rerun from GPS. Canal alignment reestablished. Dig again.
10,000 workers 400 kilometers from the nearest city. Supply trucks drive through the Sahara every day.
From above, the excavation berms look like a second mountain range through the Sahara. They are not. Aquifer water floods into the canal cut. Pumps cannot keep up. Ancient desert water fighting back. The underground water is toxic with salt. If it mixes with the fresh Nile water, everything dies. One center pivot, 400 meters long, 40 nozzles, 50 hectares in a perfect circle, rolling automatically, always. 80 million cubic meters removed. The spoil becomes the access roads. The desert builds itself now.
Concrete batching plants every 15 kilometers. The canal is too long for a single plant to supply.
The slipformer is pouring continuous concrete at 2 meters per minute, non-stop, down a 310-kilometer canal.
Touch this. Fresh concrete in 50-degree heat cracks in hours if we don't protect it.
The 50-degree sun is merciless. It flash boils the moisture, ripping cracks through the fresh concrete.
If even 1 meter cracks, they destroy it. There is zero margin for error in the desert.
It splinters into 4 arteries. 88 more kilometers of concrete forced into dead sand. 310 kilometers of perfect, empty concrete. The pumps are ready, but the water has not moved yet.
800-meter circles of leveled desert prepared for crops. Water hasn't arrived, but they are ready.
320 kilometers of buried pipeline, wide enough to stand inside. They wire the desert's new cardiovascular system. The trench machine cuts. Pipe sections are welded. The side boom lowers the string. 320 kilometers of this. One center pivot, 400 meters long, 40 nozzles, 50 hectares in a perfect circle, rolling automatically, always.
This arm is 400 meters long. It rotates non-stop, too slow to watch, but it never stops.
3 booster stations, every 60 kilometers. Each one lifts the water pressure for the next section. A massive power grid straight through the dunes. Enough electricity to power a country.
The center pivot wheels sink 400 millimeters in wet clay. The 400-meter steel arm tilts. The machine locks solid.
Double the tire width, twice the contact area. The weight spreads. The arm rotates again. Problem gone.
Drive any direction from here, and there is nothing for 400 kilometers.
The sand is dead. They force thousands of tons of rich black life into it. Dense clay blocks roots and drainage. D10 dozers rip the hardpan to 600 millimeters. Every hectare ripped. Trial plots running on temporary pumps before the main canal is done. Learning what grows here first. The ultimate proof. Golden wheat harvested directly out of the Sahara. The impossible gamble actually worked. Everything is ready. The canal is still empty, and the switch is about to flip.
When the water comes here, I do not want to be in this canal. It comes very fast.
The switch flips.
Lake Nasser water rises through the intake channel. The limestone walls get wet for the first time. A wall of churning white water blasts from the tunnels. The force creates its own weather.
1.5 meters per second. Dark water moving through a canal that has never been wet before.
All 18 pumps fire at once. Not a river, a deafening waterfall forcing its way west. The workers watch the water arrive. Some of them have been here for 3 years. Blue water in the Sahara, visible from the air. First time in recorded history, right now. Water reaches pivot 1. The arm begins rotating. First sprinkler opens. The desert gets wet. Water hits the sand for the first time. I can see it darkening. The desert just changed. 18 pivots rotate. The desert is wet. Nothing grows yet. The real test is still coming.
Grain drills planting wheat in the Sahara. Seeds going into sand that was desert 6 months ago.
Miss the planting window, and the Sahara burns the seeds alive. Zero margin for error. 10 days after planting, green shoots in the Sahara. Workers crouch in the rows, growing.
Look at this root. 6 months ago, this was dead sand. A wheat root in the Sahara.
White salt crystals appearing between the wheat rows. Irrigation water evaporating before it sinks in.
The heat pulls ancient toxic salt to the surface. It chokes the new crops to death.
The fix is brutal. Rip the earth, bury the water underground, starve the salt.
Waist-high wheat. Pivot arms overhead. Green inside the circle. Dead Sahara just 400 meters outside. 5.2 tons per hectare. First harvest in the Sahara. The Nile Valley benchmark is 5.5.
This grain came out of desert sand. 6 months ago, this was nothing. It is real.
Egyptian long staple cotton growing in the Sahara. The most valuable cotton in the world, in a desert.
800 grams per beet. Commercially viable in the desert. The Sahara is producing sugar beet, actually.
50,000 date palms line the canal. They cut field evaporation by 15%. The Sahara grows a forest. The water table rises from 8 meters to 2.5 in 14 months. Roots are drowning from below.
Tile drains 1.8 meters deep intercept the rising water. The drained water is pumped back to the canal.
They didn't just grow crops. They forcefully engineered dead sand into thick, black, living earth.
Even after pumping billions into the Sahara, the mighty Nile barely drops an inch.
A city rises 30 kilometers from the canal for 2 million people. It has no residents yet.
A 4-lane highway through 180 kilometers of Sahara. Road signs to cities that are still being built. 5 years later, satellite images show green in the Sahara. NASA confirms it. The desert is changing. 250 kilometers done. 60 kilometers still to go. And the hardest terrain is still ahead.
360 cubic meters per second of Nile water through the Sahara. I am standing right beside it.
Lifting the Great Pyramid's volume every 90 seconds, continuously. That is what this station does. This isn't a gentle stream. It is a rushing river. The water generates its own wind. Massive steel gates violently slice the river in two. Brute mechanical force, bending water to its will. 130 kilometers from the pump station. Nile water arrives in desert that never saw a river. Within 3 months, birds, bees, foxes. Life following the water west through the desert, without being invited. Life following the water west through the desert. Life following the water west through the desert. $400,000 tons of wheat from the Sahara.
From a desert that produced nothing 1 year ago. Hand pickers in Egyptian long staple cotton. White bowls against dark soil in the Sahara.
4,000 tons of dates from the Sahara. 4 years after planting, 50,000 trees. The desert produces.
The desert produces.
The desert produces.
The desert produces.
That was the conceptual future. But back down here in the present, they are still digging. Subscribe now for the next mega project.